It's the Locked On Flyers podcast for Friday, February 23rd. Your daily dose of Flyers news, analysis, and high quality content that's ready as I'll ever be for a couple of afternoon games against division rivals.
Yeah, afternoon games. Why not?
Your Locked On Flyers, your daily podcast on the Philadelphia Flyers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey there, and thanks for making Locked On Flyers your first listen every day. I am Rachel Donner. You can find me on the app formerly known as Twitter at rmiriam. I'm here as always with Russ Cohen, who's on all your favorite social media apps at Sportsology. We are at Locked On Flyers on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and Twitter as well. You can find us over on YouTube, on the SiriusXM app, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Subscribe. You'll get our latest episode as soon as it's available here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And before we dig into things, just a quick programming note. We at Locked On are having some back-end systems changes over the weekend. So our Monday episode, it'll be up on YouTube at the normal time, usually dropping right about midnight. And it's just the audio version that will be delayed a little bit. You won't see that in your feeds until a little after noon on Monday. So don't be frightened. It will be there. We promise you. We will be talking on that Monday show about the weekend back-to-back against division rivals, the New York Rangers on Saturday and the Pittsburgh Penguins on Sunday. Both games in the afternoon, not the early afternoon, but the middle afternoon. So lots of awkward timing for everybody involved. But it's the 3:00 game on ABC and ESPN Plus on Saturday. And then it's a 3:30 game on TNT / streaming on Max. So we'll have the national broadcast for both of these games. The turnaround will be quick for the Flyers on Sunday as they are home on Saturday, on the road in Pittsburgh on Sunday. So this is a very tough back-to-back here for the Flyers.
Yeah, no question about it. I get why ABC wants it in the afternoon. TNT, I'm not so sure. I'm looking at their schedule as we speak, but ABC, I get it. That's something where, they probably show their Saturday morning cartoons, then probably a fishing show, and then maybe racing, and then they get around to the NHL, right? So, but yeah, this is a tough one for them. Too tough. It's like you're probably going to expend more energy against the Rangers, but then doesn't matter what the Penguins are doing. It's a rivalry game, so it's like that makes it tough. So yeah, I agree. It's one of the tougher weekends that they'll have coming up. Just to say what they have going on. I see. I think that Sunday is Hockey Day in the U.S.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
That's why.
That's what's going on this weekend.
So that's fair. So that's why it's on in the afternoon for TNT, so the kids can watch. I like that. I'm good with that. So yeah, a little awkward timing. My Sunday afternoon lunch is going to get cut a little short now. That we usually have. We usually have a nice lunch, like a nice leisure. Now it's going to get cut short, but that's okay. For hockey, I'll do it.
Absolutely. As far as the Flyers going into these couple of games, there's been some continuing conversation following the game against the Blackhawks where he specifically, John Tortorella, praised that third line quite a bit that's got Hathaway and Cates on it, especially since Hathaway scored the goal. Cates made some really good plays, and I don't think he shouldn't have praised that line. It's just that you look at what the Farabee Frost TK line did in that game, both offensively and defensively for that matter, especially because they got a lot of top minutes against the Bedard line and played them pretty successfully for most of the game. The fact that, he didn't say anything specific about them and their quality of play.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm gonna try and interpret John, which is never easy to do, what I think he wants to do here is that first goal was like a weird goal, right? That could just happen to anybody. So I think he's looking at this game like we only scored 2 goals against the Blackhawks, and these games coming up, we need to score like 4 goals in each of these games, at least three to win the game, legit goals. And he wasn't getting that against the Blackhawks. So I think he's, punishing the guys a little bit without the praise just to kind of make them try that much harder. I think that's what this is about.
Yeah, like a little passive aggressiveness
Yes.
there.
Yes.
That and, I wonder about these things sometimes because you wonder about the level of expectations on different players, and so if he goes out of his way to praise Garnet, Hathaway, and Noah Cates, which again, don't disagree that they deserved praise in that game, like, is there something going on there too, where he feels like those guys actually need it more than Travis Konechny knows who he is and how he plays and where he stands with John Tortorella. Like he just doesn't need to hear it, but maybe Hathaway and Cates need to hear it on the positive side of things.
Yeah, Kate's definitely because he's really having an underwhelming year here, borderline disappointing. So I think he is still trying to get Kate's going. Look, Hathaway, he's got to justify him. So I don't mind him doing it for Hathaway. He's got 9 points. I don't know how many I expected him to get, but you would hope he would get 20, and he's on the edge of not being able to get 20. So I think between him and Cates, he's thinking if I could get these guys going even a little bit, the secondary scoring would take a lot of pressure off the top 2 lines. And I think that's the thinking.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think that's really more how you got to look at it and not exactly what the play was of those particular guys in this game, that it's more about the messaging overall.
Yes.
And I think you're right in terms of looking ahead to this Rangers Pens combo weekend there and saying, this was fine, guys, but you got to step it up against these two teams.
Right. There's going to be a level you hit with the Rangers, depending on who plays. We'll talk about that. But a level you're going to hit with them that, from a play standpoint, has to be higher than what you gave in the Blackhawks. And then there's going to be an emotional level that you're going to hit against Pittsburgh that's going to be higher against Pittsburgh than even against the Rangers because the hate is there. Like that hate
Yeah.
still exists. And so there is a thing there. Like, that's fair to try to get them pre-prepared for that.
I absolutely agree there. And so, when we're talking about John Tortorella and what he says, it's like he's a multi-layered individual and
Yes.
there's many reasons why he's saying what he says. And sometimes he says nothing and sometimes he says a lot and there's reasoning for all of it. I find it kind of fun trying to figure all of that out in what he's trying to do.
Most of the time, I find it fun. Sometimes I find it annoying if I don't like what he did, like if I just find it distasteful. But he hasn't been that distasteful this year. Only a couple times.
Yeah, yeah. Just a little news item from around the NHL. The bigger news that Austin Matthews scored his 50th goal of the season. Um, find it, pretty easy to predict he would have done it, given the fact that he got 2 hat tricks in a row to get him up to close to 50 pretty quickly over a week long period. And I was just thinking about it because the last time we had a Flyers player to get over 50 goals was John LeClair in '98. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, that was my guess. Look, they just don't have that caliber of player. Mitchkov's not going to score 50 either because he's not like a purebred goal scorer. He does everything. So he's not going to be a 50 goal guy either. So, yeah, they don't have that guy. That's just plain and simple. They just don't have that guy. And they haven't had that guy in a while. I suppose if Jeff Carter kept staying, going up and up and up and up, maybe he would have had a chance, but I'm not even sure
Right.
he reached 50 ever. I'm going to look.
Yeah. The last Flyers player to score over 100 points in a season, of course, was Claude Giroux. He did that in 2017, 2018. And, that was when he was in the Hart conversation that year. And him being in that conversation was well deserved. But yeah, he wasn't going to get 50 goals as part of those 100 points. He was
Yeah, Carter
definitely more of an assist guy.
in 08-09, Carter had 56 and 84 points with the Flyers. And you know, that's as good as it gets. I don't think anybody's going to beat that number. It's a hard number to get.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. But hopefully someday a Philadelphia Flyer will reach that pinnacle again. In the meantime, the Flyers do have the weekend games against the Rangers and Pens. We're going to start with the New York Rangers coming up next. We're driven by the search for better, but when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites. They leverage over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day. Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences, so the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Listeners of Locked On Flyers will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/locked on. Just go to Indeed.com/locked on right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on Locked On Flyers. That's Indeed.com/locked on. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. On Monday's show, the weekend back-to-back will be the main topic of conversation. Plus, we will have our nemesis of the week. The New York Rangers, since we saw them last, we saw them on Black Friday, where the Rangers won that one 3-1. Most recently, we've seen the Rangers have a really good stretch. They've faltered a little bit and then have since gotten back on the horse, so to speak. They are looking real good, 8-1-1 in their last 10. They're top of the Metro. They're fourth in the NHL with one game in hand on Boston, and they're 1 point behind Florida there. We talked about them yesterday pretty extensively when we were talking about the power rankings for the Locked On NHL group, and they haven't had a ton going on, but they did extend Johnny Brodzinski for 2 more years, which was well deserved. He's stuck with the Rangers, and they gave him a 1-year deal, and I think good on him for all of that hard work going
Yeah,
back
it's
and forth.
deserving. We've talked about him the last couple of years, and without Philip Hedl, he's filled in that third line center role. So that was a big potential vacancy for them, and he's filled it. So I think that's good.
Yeah, and Philip Hedl is still on IR. Blake Wheeler, as we know, is likely out for the season, but is technically on IR right now. So they've also called up Brennan Othman from Hartford, and we've seen a lot of his play watching the Phantoms. And Brennan Othman, man, just a machine, has basically could score at will against the Phantoms. So, that's nothing to sneeze at, having
He's
a guy
tough
like
kid
him.
who's got the drive to
Yeah.
get to the net, but a really good shot. Physical. Yeah, he will help the Rangers, and it could end up sticking because they do have a spot for a winger right now. A spot open.
They do. And Panarin and VC, as of recording, are game time decisions for last night's game against the Devils. We are recording before that game, so we don't know
They
exactly.
could be maintenance days for them.
Yeah, we'll see. But that was part of the reasoning for the Othman call up, is just in
Right.
case one of those guys couldn't go. But man, and the Rangers are making it happen against all sorts of teams. They won against the Dallas Stars. Of course, that spectacular comeback win against the Isles in the Stadium Series. They won against the Habs. I just really feel like they're up for it and at the top of their game, no matter who they're playing.
Yeah, I mean, look, first year's Peter Laviolette always locked in, right? I mean, he's been really good. And so it's not surprising we've seen that before. So you have that. Now, looking at things, one of the only true weaknesses of the Rangers may be that their penalty kill is 7th. But then that will require the Flyers' penalty kill to rise to the occasion, right? So,
Yeah.
the Flyers may be able to kill off most of the Rangers' power plays, but can they actually score on the power play? I think that's actually a key thing for this game. I think they're going to have to do that. If they go like 0 for 2, 0 for 3, they're probably going to lose the game.
Yeah, and so the Rangers have a 5th ranked power play at 26%. That 7th ranked penalty kill is at 82.3%, which actually is pretty good.
It's pretty
So
good, but I'm just finding you a small weakness.
yeah, yeah, I know. I know. The only thing where the Flyers, and this has been true consistently for much of the season, that the Flyers actually get a significant percentage of high danger chances, that they're very good at that. The
Lately, though,
finishing, well, yes, that's true. The finishing has been a problem, and lately I wouldn't say this is the case, but um, they have both of these teams have similar expected goals for percentage,
yeah.
looking at all strengths. So, like the Flyers do get opportunities, and the eye test would bear that out. I think we've seen at times them struggling with finishing, and at times they don't get second, third chances, right? They can't clean up or have those like dirty goals in front of the net, that they're more getting those good chances and high danger chances on the rush.
Yeah, I think taking the Blackhawks out of it because they're not in the league of the Devils and Rangers and other teams, those teams have done extensive video work to work against the Flyers' rush technique. And it's been working in the first period of most games, and it's been working better the last, I would say, 3 games or so. So that's
Mhm.
something to watch because the Flyers are going to now have to do their own video work to counteract that because the league is starting to catch up with that. And that's something where, like I pointed out, we saw the Devils leaving a defenseman back on the power play so they don't give up an odd man rush there or potential shorthanded. And the Rangers may do the same thing too, because if you have someone like Adam Fox can do that because he's a good enough skater that he can still get up in the play or he can play back like that. So it'll be interesting to see if they employ that too, but I have a feeling they might.
Yeah, I think that's a really fair point. And I think that when you're trying to match up against a team like the Rangers that have skill at both ends of the ice, that, if you're going to get driven to the outside and, the Flyers have like one fast guy per line, like your 2 and your 3 forward are going to have to get caught up and make space in the middle to get those chances that maybe they're going to miss not having on a pure rush opportunity.
Yeah, another thing that I noticed from last game, and I know that York went into Couturier a little bit, but this is still something that's constant. If Couturier gets too deep in the offensive zone, he can't get back anymore. His skating is not good enough, and I think the Rangers would try and exploit that because they have a lot of they have a lot of good gifted skaters on that team. So if Couturier is on the ice and they know that, they could try and stretch the ice on that. And that would make it tough. That would make it difficult because I've noticed that, yeah, once Couturier's got the puck and, it's a half court offense, he's great. He knows how to
Yeah.
handle it around the net. He knows how to get to the net and everything else. But getting there sometimes is a battle.
Right. And that's why against the Rangers more specifically, he's going to have to win those faceoffs. Like when he's out there,
Yeah.
he's got to win the faceoff and then drive toward the net to be part of like controlling that play, or be like the puck support that he needs to be, because the Rangers have the skill to to get in there and steal the puck.
Yeah, it's not Sabinajad who's their best faceoff guy. It's Trocheck. And
Mhm.
I think he's in the 60s. And he's taken like I want to say it's an inordinate amount. It's probably like 1,200 already or something like that. And so that's what they have to watch out for. Oh no, I was wrong. But here's the number though. He's taken 1,014 and he's at 60.7. He's won 616. Zabinajad, who's technically the number one center, has taken 748. Quite a difference. So you have to beat
Yeah.
Trocheck, especially in the offensive zone for the Flyers if you want to keep things going and keep the offense going. And in the defensive zone too sometimes because they'll use Zibanejad in the offensive zone. They might not use him as much in the defensive zone because that's a thing where it's defensive, right? You want to get that puck, get it out of there, get up the ice. And so that's a key matchup too.
Right. And you look at the Rangers' top two lines, right? And I'm not like discounting the third guy on these lines. When you have Zibanejad and Kreider on one line and Trocheck and Panarin on another line, just assuming Panarin plays, like that's that's just tough to like. How do you put like your best counter opposition to that out there when you have two lines like that?
Yeah, and I give Johnny Lazarus credit. On Twitter, he showed something. Lafreniere's been playing much better this year, but sometimes people just look at points. And what he was showing was at least one or two videos where and this is very Owen Tippett-like, where Lafreniere will set up Trocheck and he'll just miss the net. He'll set him up for a perfect shot and he'll just miss the net. And so that's where you do have to watch out for Lafreniere because he's very strong on the puck now, like physically strong. Like this guy is very, very strong. And he's still got the great hands. So, he's not going to like kill you like Panarin, but if the puck is in motion, he's actually pretty good at setting up scoring chances. So that's another thing you have to watch.
Right. Well, this will be a tough one. And then the Flyers got to turn around and face the Pittsburgh Penguins, who are in a bit of disarray right now.
You don't
We
say.
will get, yeah, we will get into that coming up next.
Today's show is sponsored by Ibotta. Grocery bills are so expensive these days, but now they don't have to be. Start getting cash back on your grocery shopping with the free Ibotta app and get cash back every time you shop. Ibotta is a free app that gives you the most cash every time you shop on hundreds of items from grocery to beauty supplies to toys. The average Ibotta user earns $256 a year, so you can buy that flight you've been eyeing, that game you're dying to go to, or the fancy dinner you've been craving. Other apps give you points that don't amount to much with Ibotta. Just add your offers in the app, upload the receipt, and get real cash that you can cash out to your bank account, PayPal, or gift cards. Join over the 50 million users and earn cash back every time you shop from over 2,700 brands and retailers, including Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy, and more. Right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 for just trying Ibotta by using the code LOCKEDONNHL when you register. Just go to the App Store or the Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app to start earning cash back and use the code LOCKEDONNHL. That's Ibotta, IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store and use the code LOCKEDONNHL.
Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with local experts of Locked On, plus national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe. Pittsburgh Penguins have had the upper hand on the Flyers this season. But that being said, they are a complete and total train wreck right now, for lack of a better word. They had sort of a big press conference with Mike Sullivan and Kyle Dubas earlier this week, and Mike Sullivan is flailing. He just does not know what to do with this team at this point.
No, I think Dubas is doing a good job because he's basically like, listen, it's on you guys. You don't play well, somebody's getting traded. Maybe two of you guys are getting traded. And so I think the Flyers are going to face a desperate team. And that sometimes can be dangerous. That's what they're going to have to be ready for, a desperate team. And you're coming on the back-to-back, right? You're coming on the second half of a back-to-back. They're going to be desperate. Even someone like Jeff Carter may be desperate. I'm joking here. But I'm just saying, watch out for their guys because, they don't want to get traded. So we'll see. We'll see how engaged they look because that sort of has been an issue. And then we'll see how the goaltending is. I don't know if they'll get Jarry. I don't know if they would dare play Jarry back-to-back. I'm not sure what they're going to do.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I'm assuming Urson is going to play against the Rangers and Peterson's going to play against the Pens, right?
I would think so.
Yeah. So, but there'll be an opportunity, I think, for both of these teams to play whoever they're calling their number one goalie at this point, you know?
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough for the Flyers either way on that front. But I think that it's also been tough for the Pens because of injuries. Jake Gensel is on IR right now. Noah Chari is on IR, and it's been tough. They put Colin White on waivers. He was claimed by Montreal, so
Yeah, Colin White's been around, man. So
yeah.
maybe they just felt like, at this point, it's addition by subtraction.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I think that, it's interesting because, like, one of the things that has been plaguing the Pens this season is their power play, and given the personnel that they have, you would think it would be much better, and it is a dreadful power play, but it's still marginally better than the Flyers' power play this season.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great stat. Um, yeah, you just don't know. You can't count on it being lousy though, right? When you're
Right.
matching up against them, you can't count on it being lousy. You still got to cover the guys that need to be covered and still have to play it a certain way. So again, these are the games you worry about Sidney Crosby because he can do things that a lot of guys can't. With Sam Urson, he's going to be a real pest around the net. He's going to try
Mhm.
and bank the puck off him. He's going to try and rush, charge him, get the stick into him. He's going to do all of that to throw him off his game if he's playing against them. What you said, it might be Peterson. If it's Peterson, then it could be worse. I will tell you, I don't have a lot of confidence against Peterson for facing the Penguins just because even though they're not good this year, the caliber of guys they have. But that's neither here nor there right now.
Yeah, and one of the things we talked about in the last segment about the Rangers, I think holds even more true against the Pens, and that despite everything, the Pens are still great at faceoffs, and we know that they have the guys
Yeah,
to do it. They're at 55%, which is pretty darn good, I
it
would
is.
say. And so, especially when the Flyers are having faceoffs in the defensive zone, like they're going to have to be extra careful defensively to make sure that this doesn't convert into set play goals.
Right. No, I mean that's a good point. I mean, there's going to be times in that game where them losing a key faceoff could be a big part of the game. So yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to watch out for. Um, and it's there, so it's not like Gritty can travel and do anything about their annoying mascot Iceberg. Who, I'll just want to basically string them up every time I hear that stupid air horn through the TV while we're watching this game. No, it's really annoying in person, but I don't know if it annoys you, but it annoys me on TV still.
I don't know. It doesn't really bother me that much
Okay.
compared to actually the view from the upper deck of that arena. I think it's really just the rake is really terrible and disconcerting. But all of that being said, I think one of the other things that's been a point of contention for this Pens team is that they've struggled in one goal games. So they're 7-8-8 in one goal games. The Flyers are 12-5-7. So
Yeah,
much better in close games.
yeah, I could
The
see
Pens
that.
are tied for the league worst in games ending in overtime win percentage. They have not been good there. But that being said, their goaltending has been good enough this year, in addition to their defensive play, that they're allowing less than 3 goals per game on
Yeah,
average.
they've lost some leads though. That's something
Hmm.
recently. Um, Listen, this is not a gimme. It's not a Chicago Blackhawks game. You don't know what their mental state's going to be. If they come in, like, hey, this is a Stanley Cup game. You've got a big game ahead of you, and this is coming off the back to back. So this is where, um, again, I'm not. I can't even go and say like playing 11-7, 11-7 is a good thing, but I mean, I'm staying away from that, Rachel. I am just whatever they do, they do. But if I see 11-7 for both of these games, I'm just going to be gritting my teeth, man.
Especially in the second game,
Oh yeah,
if the forwards are worn out from the
yeah,
game against the Rangers, they're going to need to like even that out a little bit. And
Yeah, connect
again, I
you.
think,
He could expect to play like 44, 45 minutes of hockey this weekend.
yeah, I think so. I think so. But yeah, especially in Pittsburgh, it doesn't matter where the standings are, even though the Pens are, second to last in the division right now.
Yeah.
Just have to mention that because it's true. But it is a true fact. But like you said, the Pens and the Flyers generally, step it up a little notch, and it should be feisty. Both games should be feisty and fun this weekend. So, regardless, I think it's going to be a fun weekend of hockey for all of us, and I look forward to it. I look forward to talking about these games on the Monday show. And as a reminder, like I said at the top of the show, it'll be in your YouTube feeds on time at midnight. Monday morning, a little bit later in your audio feeds at about noon on Monday. So if you want to get a jump on it, subscribe to our YouTube channel. And as a reminder, I always want to hear from you. So if you've got mailbag questions for us, you can send them in via Twitter at Locked On Flyers. You can email us at lockedonflyers@gmail.com or comment on our YouTube channel. I am Rachel. I'm on Twitter at rmiriam. That's RMIRIAM.
I'm Russ. I'm at Sportsology, SPORTSOLOGY.
Have a great weekend, everyone.